Welcome Steve Beecham to the Rock here. We're going to talk about how to grow your business during trying times. So I've known Steve for years, CEO, entrepreneur, speaker, author, Instagram celebrity as of lately. So I highly recommend you look up beach walks, some good daily thoughts, right, to get you through the day. So Steve, how are you?
Doing great, man. I'm just tickled to death to be here. You know, the Indians talked about Curry means stand alone, and this mountain kind of stands alone out here in this countryside. So it's beautiful.
Well, thanks for mentioning that, because that's the beauty of our channel program. We don't want our partners or your customers to stand alone when you're trying to find the right connectivity solution. So that we come together and we do this together. So Steve, and earlier we were talking, and I asked you, how things were going on. And with your extensive network and your view on business, what are you seeing out there? How's the last 4 or 5 months? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? How are businesses doing?
Well, what I'm seeing is that there's a ton of people. I would say 75% of the people that I'm contacting are telling me that they're having great success. And the reason why I think is because they've decided to kind of, look outside the box. They're doing things to make their business roll, because, they don't want to, they sat around for a couple of weeks and they go, hey, I got to go back to work. So they're doing that. And there's still some people kind of laying down and laying low and feeling sorry for themselves, or having, I call it a pity party. And I think we got to quit having pity parties. We got to get out there and go back to work. We got to work with this COVID thing. We can't just wait till it ends.
So you mentioned the 75% that are doing well, and you mentioned, how can we work with our current situation? What are some tactics that these businesses are doing? How are they doing? How are they overcoming these trying times and still finding some success in what they're doing?
So I like to tell people that one of the things to do is to steal ideas from other businesses. So if you're out there and you've got other customers that are in different types of businesses, start looking for things that they're doing marketing wise that maybe you don't do in your business. Because what happens, like I grew up in the mortgage business, so all mortgage guys market the same way, but maybe my plumber's doing something that I'm not doing. Like, I'll give you an example. Just on the way up here, I got a FaceTime call from my financial advisor. He didn't just call me, he FaceTimed me. Well, I see this FaceTime coming in. I go, I wonder what this is all about, right? Maybe something cool. And I hit it, and he's like, no, dude, I just want to see you face to face. I can't be with you. I want to talk to you about what we're doing on your finances, where we need to go. And I hung up and I went, that's cool. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start, instead of just calling people, I'm going to FaceTime them. Another example is when the COVID thing hit, all the restaurants shut down. This one buddy of mine, he's like, dude, I can't shut down. I need the money. I can't just not go to work. And he said, I got to come up with something. And he was driving through like Del Taco, and he noticed that they had like a family pack, and he goes, man, I need to do that with my barbecue. So he came up, it's called Smoke Jack, is the restaurant. So he came up with this idea for what he calls a Jack Pack. So every day he put out on the internet, Jack Pack for today, chicken, macaroni and cheese, coleslaw, $49.95 feed sticks.
Makes me hungry.
Yeah. And then the next day it was barbecue. And the next day it was, I don't know, hamburgers or hot dogs. So he changed it every day, and his sales went up big time. He was just elated. And so he made basically his sit down restaurant sort of a drive-through restaurant. You called, he told you when the order was going to be ready. People were waiting out line. He went out there, handed them the order, and he just had a great experience with it. So I think that if you go look at other people, other different types of categories of business, and you ask them what they're doing to market, especially the ones that you're working with that are doing really well, and try to steal some ideas from them and figure out how that idea can work for you and your business.
Excellent. Yeah, that's interesting. So I know you've written 2 books. Can you tell us a little bit about those books, and where do you think they're most relevant for our audience of entrepreneurs themselves, a lot of the sales consultants, tech consultants as well. So why did you write these books, and what did you hope your readers would get out of them?
Well, I wrote down the stuff that I learned as I went along, as I was trying to grow my business and sales, and I just spent a lot of time studying and researching, and everything I do comes from the place of, I want people to call me and beg to spend money with me. That's my whole idea, is how do I get people to call me and say, hey man, Chris told me to hire you. What do I need to do? And it takes away people talking to me about what do I cost, or in my case, what's the rate. I've eliminated all of that. And the first book I wrote was called Bass Ackwards Business. And Bass Ackwards Business is about being the go-to guy, or as I call it, the mayor of your village. So you want to be the guy in your area where you live and where you work. You want to be the go-to person for your customers and friends to call when they need anything. You want to be able to, and you're in a perfect position for that, because if you're doing, you may be doing IT work for a financial advisor, or a real estate company, a mortgage company, a bank. You got all these different customers, and you know which ones are top performers and which ones are good people. And so you're in a position to give your next door neighbor who works in a cubicle and doesn't meet anybody great referrals. And that's what you really, that's what my whole book and premise is about, is be the go-to guy for your people. Then the second piece of that book is about what I call going pro in your sport. What you want to be is, you want to be known as the guy for what it is you do. So if anybody is anywhere and the word IT comes up, you need to be the person they immediately think of, and you need to start planting those seeds to them about, I'm the first call for that. And then that led me to my second book that's called What's Your Buzz? And what I found is a lot of people don't have a buzz about them, that that's what they do. And I found that there are people that have been, they were, you know, they might have a buzz about them that they were a great college baseball player, but nobody's buzzing about their great IT guy. And so you've got to start realizing that it's up to you to get the word out to your people about your greatness. And a lot of people like me grew up saying, you know, learning that we're not supposed to brag. But I think what's happened is, in this economy, you don't have to brag, but what you've got to do is you've got to find those opportunities and times in conversation to be able to drip them your greatness. Yeah, I know that company. Yeah, they called me one time. They had a big outage, and I went in there and I worked all night and fixed it for them, you know. And they go, oh, you did? You worked all night? Oh yeah, that's what we do. We whatever we got to do for our customer, we're always there. That's the way you kind of drip it into the conversation. So think about your buzz. What are people saying about you? Whenever you're introduced, when you're introduced, how do people introduce you? Hey, this is my friend Chris. Our kids played ball together. Well, that's not helping him for what he does. But, you know, hey, this is my friend Chris, and he's like the guy if you need wireless stuff, you know. And so if you're working from home, John, and you need to be able to connect, you need to get with Chris, because he knows the guys that can help you fix that problem. So think about how you're introduced. And when people introduce you, are they talking about you as being great in what it is you do for a living? And I think that's real important. Then the third book I just completed is called What's the Tapes You Play in Your Head? And what I found is, with most of us, we're having more negative conversations than positive conversations. And what I realize is that highly, highly successful people are having a lot more positive conversations than we are. And so how do you think about that? How do you train your brain to have more positive conversations? And there's three elements that came out of that book. And one is that when you're having a negative conversation, understand that you can talk back to that conversation. No, you're not going to tell me that. I'm going to go in there and knock on that guy's door. You know, when your thoughts going, you know, he's already probably got an IT guy. And I'm going, no, well, I don't care if he does. I'm still going to go meet him. He might need me someday. The second way that you can do it is, you can have, if you have a consistent negative thought that comes to you, then you give that negative thought a name. You know, you might call it Billy, because Billy was a bully in elementary school that you hated. And every time that negative thought keeps coming up, because it's a recurring theme, you say, Billy, you're not going to do that. No, Billy, I'm not going to talk. You're not going to talk to me that way. Or then the third thing is that when you have some thoughts, sometimes I use this kind of with my wife and kids and stuff like this, I bring in what I call an expert. It's called a third party conversation. The third party conversation is, you know, my wife's giving me some grief about something with how I handled the kids. And so then I call in Oprah and I say, hey, Oprah, sit down. Dr. Phil, y'all sit down with Mary and I, and let's talk about how I handled this, and tell me what I should have done differently. And so then I have this conversation in my mind with my wife and Oprah or Dr. Phil to try to figure out what's the best way going forward. So that's called The Tapes You Play in Your Head. It's not on Amazon yet, but will be. If you'd like one, I'll be happy to sign one and send one to you. But one of the main themes that I want you to think about right now is that people cannot spend money with you if they don't know you exist. And there's so many people out there that have no idea that you do what you do. And the only way they're going to find out more about you is for you to meet more people. And we spend our times in businesses thinking about we're only supposed to go meet people that we think we can sell. And what I want to convince you to do is forget about that, just meet people. Do join more groups, go to, if you've got two, I've got a thing, a running thing with my wife. If we get 2 invitations for the same, for the same night, we're going to go to the one where we know the least amount of people. And so if the more people I can touch, the more people I can have a conversation with, the more people that can learn about me and what I do, the better chance I've got of selling somebody they know something, not them, but maybe somebody they know. So think about how you can expose yourself to as many people as possible, because if they don't know about you, they can't spend any money with you.
Boy, that's brilliant. And here in the channel, I think I think a lot of us totally get that in a lot of ways, but we're being handicapped because we can't go to face-to-face meetings and conventions and expos and lunch and learns and et cetera like that. So getting creative with social media, FaceTiming, promotion or marketing in a box, campaigns in a box from Sierra Wireless, we can help you, heighten your message to your network. So that was some good stuff. And by the way, I remember sitting at lunch with you about 3 years ago, and you told me about what tapes you're playing in your head. So that's funny that you brought that up. I didn't know he was going to mention that, but he told me another story about a guy that he said, just things always work out for me. Things just usually work out for me. And that was a tape in his head. And wouldn't you know it, this guy just had the dumbest luck. He just bumped into things, worked out for him. So we've all met people, and we know friends and family and maybe partners or coworkers that they're saying the opposite. Well, the things, I'm not gonna hit my quota this month, or they probably won't, that deal probably won't close. And it's just kind of funny, the power.
Nobody wants to meet with me right now because of COVID, and that's just so wrong. That instead of using person to person, use the phone. Just turbocharge the amount of people you're calling, and the easy way to do that is quit calling people to talk to them about your agenda. Call people and talk to them about their agenda. Talk to them about how you can bring your assets, the people the information you have, the knowledge you have, to help them during this time and grow their business. So what I do is I just turbocharge how many more people I can help every day. And I realize that some of those people are going to reciprocate and send me business.
Thanks, Steve. And we're going to wrap this session up and move into the Q&A here. But, when I first talked to Steve about, hey, man, I know what you do. I know you got your finger on the pulse of especially small and medium businesses, local businesses, the Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce. This guy's a machine. He's definitely, I should have said, he's a people connector as well. If we were in person today, he would challenge you and ask you what kind of lead do you want, and pull out his phone and probably call someone and introduce you in person, right?
Yeah.
He does that a lot. We appreciate your time today.